What's up, bikers? Episode 186. Super stoked to be here. Holy cow, man. It's been a minute since we had a show. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know how you want to say it. I had a couple of cancellations, so it makes my life a little easier. I also went to Bentonville. If you've been following along on the other show I've been doing, the Backpedal show, talking about my weight loss journey, you're very well aware of everything that's been going on. But anyways, before we get started, I want to talk just real quick about some of my show sponsors. I really appreciate having a bike sponsor this year. Fazari, who is now called Ari, has decided to sponsor me with a couple of bikes. And lately I've been riding the Delano Peak. It's a 150, 130 trail bike. Man, I missed having a trail bike. It's super fun, man. It definitely took me a minute to get used to it again from riding a 170, like just rock smasher. But yeah, man, I'm having a blast on it. So if you're interested and you've seen the pink pictures of this thing that I've posted on Instagram, you should take a look. Anyways, swing by Ari. If not, you can also stop by tascostoke.com and check out some of the gear I've been wearing. It's getting hot. I love their Phantom stuff, man. Their shorts, their Phantom shorts and gloves are so light that I honestly don't want to wear anything else in the summer by anybody else. So the Phantom series is literally the reason that I reached out to Nate and was like, dude, we should work together because I love this stuff. If you want to save some money, use code B1KER and there you go. It'll do that for you. If you're into really saving money and you're looking for a new helmet, swing by Cali Protectives. They've been supporting me for a long time, and I really enjoy their stuff. One of the few helmet, or actually the only helmet brand that I know that'll replace a crashed helmet just for the cost of shipping. So that's pretty rad. And they've offered a 30% discount to anybody that listens to the Biker Bar. So use code B1Cali30 and save 30%. Like right now, my favorite helmet, the Maya, it's it sells for $100. It's not even their most expensive helmet. And I love that helmet. 30% off. So it'll cost you 70, and using the code like that, it not only saves you money, but it shows Cali that, my listeners are actually, stoked to be able to use some of their gear from hearing it on here. And that helps too. So it definitely helps out the channel. And I appreciate everybody that does that. So it means a lot. Anyways, aside from that, do me a favor. I swung by the podcasts on Apple Podcasts just recently and looked at the ratings. And dude, there's a lot of 5-star ratings on there, but there's not any that are recent. So maybe now that we got some shows lined up again and I'm actually producing new episodes, go out there and write me a 5-star review. That'd be awesome. I really appreciate it. In the meantime, let's get started. Bring Scott on. Let's talk about some tires. What's going on, dude?
What up? Not much. How you doing?
Dude, man, like sometimes in life, it just feels like you're like constantly like on the go and you keep telling yourself next week is going to be the week where it's just chill.
Yes.
I've been like that I've been like that for a while. And I'm like, when is the chill coming? I'm waiting for the chill.
I think you just have to force the chill. Otherwise, it'll never happen.
Yeah. You're probably right, but I don't know. Yeah, you're probably right. So
scheduled chill.
Yeah, scheduled chill, man. How's things been for you? You last time we talked, it was pretty close to when you first started the company.
Yeah, I mean, kind of like you, just seems like I'm going nonstop and everything is going good, like kind of plugging away, doing new stuff. We have the new pink tire that's finally in production or almost production, and doing a collab with Keep Abreast. And then just working on new tires and doing different stuff, trying to ride my bike. My kid's 7 now, so he's all about bikes. So it's like, we were at Sky Park last weekend and he rode the entire time, like nonstop, like wore out instructors and me and my wife and anybody that would go with him. He just rode for 2 days straight.
That's awesome. Yeah. That place is super cool, man. When I went down there to visit, it really inspired me that like, man, this is something that every city needs. Like because it's not a whole lot of elevation loss there. I would imagine at most maybe like 300 feet or something like that.
Yeah, 300-400. It's a
Yeah.
decent. It's enough to have fun, but it's not enough. It's not too much where you get tired on the ride up, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and it's like so many trails just like smashed into such a small area, but they're all like all the different skill sets, you know, and
mhm.
it's just like a really fun place in a very like compact environment. And yeah, it's just too bad that there's not something like that in almost every city, you know.
Well, that should be your forced chill, and you should come down and hang out and let's ride bikes there.
Right? Yeah,
Like,
there you go.
yeah, like it's like you said, it's just a rad little place. The people are all super cool. Like the guy Bill that owns it is he bought it because he wanted to build a mountain bike park, and it's a rad place, you know. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
like they maintain the trails, and it's super fun.
Yeah, it's really interesting too, riding through like Santa's workshop in the middle of summer. So
Yeah, like, those buildings are so like imagine being a 7-year-old and like going out like it's so rad. There's like
yeah, yeah.
and then that one
No,
back little section when you're pedaling up and there's that weird little elf village thing that's over there, like the
yeah,
dome little shacks and stuff. Like it's really
yeah.
cool.
Yeah, no, it is super cool. So before we get too into like us just catching up, it's probably a good idea to ask how you started the company, to maybe for somebody that hasn't heard before, and we can go from there.
I mean, it's kind of because I was crazy, but I mean no, but literally, so I exploded my heel riding, and I was on the couch recovering on Vicodin, and I was like, why are all the tire companies huge, massive corporations, and why isn't there like a YT kind of ride around direct tire company? And I had done design and branding in the outdoor space for 20 years at that point, I guess, and wrote the people I knew, and they're like, yeah, we can make you tires. So that just got the ball rolling. And then I kind of designed something I thought would work, and sold my truck and bought a mold, and just kind of went from there.
Yeah, like emptied out your 401k and everything, right?
Yeah, it was we're pretty deep. Yeah, like my wife is super stoked on all this. Yeah, and 401k gone to do the production, sold my truck to buy my mold. And but thankfully, like I didn't know, right? Like I couldn't even ride because my foot was broken. So I didn't get to really ride the tires until they were well into production. But so I sent them off to Pink Bike and Vital and Lone Wolf and everybody. And I didn't know what their reaction was. I didn't know what their review was at all until like that was kind of crazy because that was during COVID. So Pink Bike was doing the Pond Beaver. Do you remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, and they're like, okay, tomorrow's the last day. We're putting your thing up to show your tires. I'm like, I don't have a website. I don't have anything. And Brandon, who's now at Crank Brothers, but was at Vital, called them like, can you wait like a day or two? Like they're like, nope, tomorrow's the last day. You got to do it. So I told Vital, I'm like, and Drew at Lone Wolf, I'm like, put it up at 4:30 in the morning. Like I'll figure something out. So I like basically just like, made a landing page with a sign up for the email list. And then it went up at 4:30, and I saw that they both liked the tires. Like the Vital gave a 4.5-star review, and I freaked out. Like I didn't fall asleep till like 7 because I was so excited, So,
Yeah.
but yeah, just and then that was hard because a lot of the plan for this was to go to events, go to Sedona and Sea Otter and all these things, and they were all shut down. Like you could like the first year I couldn't even do photo shoots because you weren't allowed to have more than 5 people together. So, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, got through it, did good. People like the tires, and then it's been great because it's the color and the splatter and stuff are so different that it's an automatic conversation starter. And the
Yeah.
people that are supporting, longtime supporters like you, or like, I mean, how many people have you had come and ask you about your tires when you're riding them? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, that video that I did is one of my like better performing videos as well. And I think it goes to show like that there's definitely a lot of people out there interested in some other options, you know?
mhm.
So
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of it. It's just
and a good
it's just
thumbnail.
something different. There's other options. There's other ways to do it, and there's other there. It doesn't have to be from one or two companies. Like so, just I ran with it. Like, and looking back, it was really not smart, but I
Yeah.
think it's done well, right? And it's people are stoked on it. People like the story and like what I'm doing, and so just keep going and hopefully do more and do more cool things and keep it cranking. Now that I can actually get tires again, that was a whole nother mess during COVID. Like, I mean, my 275s were delayed 2 years or a year. It took 2 years
wow.
for my order to me actually getting the tires.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for people that are listening and may have not been able to see a thumbnail or something like that, basically the Versus tires have, you know, the traditional like black tire, black wall kind of deal. And then he also has some that have a splatter on them. So in the past, he's had like a splatter yellow and a splatter teal, kind of think like a Yeti teal. And now he has a solid pink, kind of still a black sidewall, but the tread is pink. And then do you have the teal one still?
Yeah, the teal ones. Yeah, the teal are in stock now, and then the pink, the Keeper Breast pinks are in production right now. So yeah, we have a few of the splatter teals left. We'll have a new splatter this summer, and then the solid pink and the solid teals are kind of our current, and then also black, of course. So yeah.
Do you see that the splatter sell more than the solid, or like kind of what's the spread
I
on
mean,
that?
when I do a new color, it did for sure. And then now it does because everybody has black tires on sale and I'm the only one with a kind of different one. But I think normally it was about 50-50, you know, it was comparable sales. Like when the few shops that would carry them, like they would not get the splatters and then they would sell them out right away. Because if someone goes in a shop, you see 40 different options for black tires, and there's one that has color. What are they going to go for? You know, so
right.
So they would, oh yeah, and then they reorder and stuff. But yeah, so it's like 50-50.
Yeah. How's that that whole process then been, like you were saying, through COVID? Is it just everything is super slow, or like
that was
what's the thing that's screwing it up?
I mean, during COVID, it was just there was no production time. I was the little guy. So, you know, if I'm doing small orders and they have a huge order, they're going to go for the huge order. And then it just all
like
got
basically like their staff is not fully in production or something like that. And then because of that, they're behind, and then they're doing the big orders first or something like that.
I think it was just they were just so overwhelmed, right? Like it's like if say you're packing boxes and there's 10 workers that have 10 tape machines and there's like 400 orders, you can only get so many done. So it was kind of, they were at max capacity. So it was like, I mean, my lead time.
Oh yeah, because like everybody was just buying like crazy too.
Yeah. It was like, okay, we can order them now and you'll get them in 8 months. And then in 8 months, there's like, oh, sorry, it's delayed another 4 months. You're like, oh, dude, you know. So but now
so did you have a time when you were just like no stock? You were just taking like
I always had some, but I mean, there's been definitely super low stock. Like right now, I've been out of black folding 29s for months. Like, I think since November. And I'm supposed to get some later this summer because they're like partially because we did a new casing. We have a 3-ply casing now, so they were working on that, and we're kind of getting that set up and got getting going. And then the teal or the pinks and the teals are the first from that new casing style. And then moving forward, that'll be probably most of the production for the folding beads will be the 3-plies.
So what's the casing options that you have?
Right now I'm doing a kind of clearance of my trails, which is the 2-plies, and then I have the 3-ply enduro casing, and then I have the 4-ply DH gravity casing. So I have 3 different casings it's one tread kind of pattern between them all, and then there's 3 different casing weights or, you know, strengths, thicknesses.
Yeah. And then you're doing them in 29er and 27.5, and if I remember correctly, you only had a certain tire width or something.
Yeah, we're 2.4 for the width, and 29er 275s. The 26s, I'll have them eventually. It'll probably, I mean, all reality, probably next spring now, just because it's such a long lead time to get new stuff done, and it's so expensive that it'd be hard to release that during the fall/winter when the sales are almost non-existent. So
you're gonna start doing 26?
Yeah, my goal is to do a 24 by the time my kid is on a 24, which is a year at the most, 2 years away. So that's my goal. So I want to do 26 for sure, and then do 24, and then.
So obviously you think it's more important to get a different wheel size than it is to get a different tire width.
I'm gonna do a different width too. I'm gonna do a wider width. But for me, I mean, for him, right? Like I always call him the owner, and Sky
Uh-huh.
Park, they announced him as the CEO of Versus, and
Nice.
so he's just rad, right? Like, and I just want to stoke him out, and then you see like so many, at all these events, so many people ask like, do you have this for little kids or for 24 or 26? And it's like, not yet, because now that, I mean, 26 is an obsolete size for adults, but it's still very relevant for kids. So
Right.
so I wanted to get those for them, and then like I said, yeah, work on a wider one, probably 2.6,
Hmm.
and yeah,
Right on. And when you said the gravity, is that only in the wire bead or is that folding too?
that's a wire bead, at least for now. So that's a 4-ply wire bead, like a
Uh-huh.
full. That's a Burley DH tire because it has the woven in there too. So it's a pretty beefy tire.
Yeah, that's the one I remember I was running there for a while. Definitely didn't need a cush core with it. I mean, it was a
Yeah,
stout tire, so it was like
yeah, you
definitely.
have to be doing a lot of to need a cush core and insert on that. You have to be doing some gnarly stuff. Like Ryan McNulty rides folding beads with cush core at Virgin, riding Rampage level stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. I'm definitely not there.
Yeah, for sure.
I probably weigh twice as him though.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Oh yeah, he's not. Yeah, he's not
I'm
big.
having a
Like I
problem.
definitely have 100 pounds on him, if not more.
Yeah. My TV screen just like turned off and back on again. I like had a complete moment of panic. I thought that the whole stream was fucked.
Dude, it's like it's straight. Anything weird like that happens, I just think of Stranger Things. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, right. Now I'm like all super paranoid. I'm like, oh shit, what are we gonna do? Um anyways. Yeah, so I've definitely got some weight on that, dude. So why did you decide to change the plies? How many plies it was?
Just to have a little bit stronger casing. It only adds like 50 grams, and it's something my factory offered, and it's just another differentiator for
Hmm.
me versus some of the other brands. So it just kind of added value, right? It doesn't really cost that much more to make, and it's another layer of rubber for not that much more weight to just give a little bit stronger tire.
I'm sorry. This thing is like apparently my TV is about to die. This is gonna be a problem. Hopefully this doesn't keep happening. You there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Um, so what's the like, so it is a 2-ply like an EXO and then a 3-ply would be like an
I mean,
EXO
a two
plus,
ply
kind
is
of like that?
like a normal mountain bike tire is a 2-ply, and it's basically a layer of rubber that's here's the bead. It rolls around. There's a layer on each side, and then for the 3-ply, they add another layer on there, just a single layer that goes all the way across, and then a 4-ply is like it's basically woven around the beads twice. So it's called a 2-ply, but it's really 4 layers of rubber because a 1-ply is just one on either side of the rubber or on the side of the
Uh-huh.
bead. So yeah, like then there's 3-ply and a 4-ply.
Right on, man. What and then that's supposed to be coming out when?
The teals and the pinks are both those now, and then the blacks will be like later, like late, probably fall ish.
Right on. So what's the deal with the pink tire? You said that's a conjunction with somebody
Yeah, that's
or
a collaboration
collaboration?
with Keep a Breast Foundation, which is a breast cancer like a foundation that a friend of mine, Shani Joe, started like 20 something years ago. And you might remember the I Love Boobies bracelets.
Mm-hmm.
They're the I Love Boobies people.
Yeah.
So I'll get you this tire, and you can see. So it actually has the I Love Boobies branding. It's
Well,
kind of
check
cool.
that out. Right there on the sidewall. That's
Yeah, so
awesome.
this is on, and then I had a few because some people aren't into that, so there are a few made without that if you want them. But yeah, it's official collab with them. We're donating $20 from each set goes back to them, to just kind of help their mission of just educate and help try to prevent breast cancer, help
Right on.
women across the globe, really.
So just because your friend started that, or was there any other like kind of like family thing or
I
something
mean,
like
yeah, I
that?
mean, my mom had breast cancer. My cousin's wife, like, literally just had surgery like Monday or Tuesday. And, it's just something that was kind of important to me. And actually what's weird about it is even the idea was kind of me and Juan Pablo Raba DMing on Instagram. He's like, you should do, I'm like, I want to do a pink tire. And he's like, do one with breast cancer. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I know Shani. We could totally do that. And so it kind of just snowballed. But yeah, it's something that's, I mean, it's touched everybody, right? Like everybody knows somebody's had breast cancer or like cancer in general. Like it's just terrible. So it's something that is like kind of true or kind of means something to me. And it's like, and then as far as like the bike that we built them was like, I wanted to make a cool bike. And, and then you get all these people writing me like, oh, like one person's like, my wife just finished chemo treatment for breast cancer and we went to Whistler to celebrate and then came home and you announced the tires and the collab. And it's like, oh my gosh. And then people like, I had a double mastectomy because I carried the gene, and like basically all of her female ancestors had cancer. So she just was like, I don't want to leave my kids. And it's like it didn't even, right? Like I want to do a cool tire and make a cool bike. And like there's these really meaningful, impactful stories that like it touched people's lives. And it was just really cool to kind of be a part of, and it meant so much to people. And it's such a rad thing anyway. So it's, like it was really cool.
Yeah, definitely. So is there like a percentage or like a dollar amount per sale or something? Or
yeah, for the tires, it was for the tires, yeah, it's $20 a set goes back to them. So it's about 10%, a little bit over 10%.
Yeah,
and, yeah. And then we did the bike, we built the bike for them, and that was like another 18 something thousand that we raised for them. So
yeah. So you did the big old like a raffle kind of thing for it.
Yeah, like a giveaway, we built it for them and then they kind of handled it. But yeah, it was it's like Jenica, I won't say her last name, but she's from Fayetteville, Arkansas, won it. And like actually she let me borrow it for Sea Otter. So if you're at Sea Otter, you might have saw it at the Magura booth, who was a partner of ours for that. And yeah, she let me borrow it because she's pregnant right now. So I was like, yeah, can we ship it here and like put it in the booth? She's like, yeah. So did that. And yeah, it's just like, it's because it's such an amazing bike. Like it was beautiful. Like Technar's paint was ridiculous and all the stuff was so rad, and like custom deity bars that like they did the pink on the, like it was unreal. Like, and that was all these people.
What kind of bike was it again?
What's that?
What kind of bike was it again?
It was a YT Capra. So,
okay.
So yeah, YT Capra that my friends up at YT and San Clemente helped out with that. And then I just kind of pulled strings and like called in favors from all these people. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll trust you. Yeah, we'll do it. Like I had to buy some of it. That's kind of why it wasn't necessarily, some of the parts weren't the best, but it was still a really cool bike. And it was like she's stoked on it. It's a rad thing. And then looks like we're going to do another one this year that everyone was like, that's kind of part of why I went to Sea Otter, and everyone was just like, yep, what do you need? Like, let's do it. So sounds like that'll be happening again this fall.
Did you have a booth this year?
I did not, because the tires and everything were so late. I didn't want to risk it. And it was a good choice because I didn't have tires. Like the teals, like that pink tire, I just FedExed here last week. I just got a few boxes and I FedExed them here for some of the pre-orders.
Oh, right on, man. Yeah, it was, dude, there was a lot of vendors there this year. It was definitely like, that place is like a little overwhelming to me.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I had fun this year. I went with my kid and we like rode bikes, and like I got to go to booths and like look at other stuff and talk to people and meet. Like it was enjoyable.
Yeah, I went with my wife, so it was a little more low key than it normally is for me, where I'm like go, kind of like talking to all the people and stuff. So that part was nice, but dude, there's just so many freaking vendors there. It's like, I just feel like I'm like, I don't know where to look,
Yeah, it's a humongous trade show. Like it's like, I come from the snow industry and I never got to go to ISPO and some of those gigantic, like even Eurobike, but it's I mean, it's the heyday of snowboarding, like the Snowboard SIA trade show. It's easily that big, if not bigger. And it's like, you couldn't see it all in a day. Like there's so much stuff. Like if you actually wanted to look at everything, there's booths on booths on booths, and there's rad stuff too. So you don't want to miss it. Like,
right.
There's a
Dude,
really cool
sometimes I would
stuff.
just look at Pink Bike and see what they posted and then go walk around and find it because it was like, dude, I don't even, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
so much going on.
Yeah, that would work. Like if they had a preliminary one and then you could schedule your day. Like
Right. Just look at what they posted yesterday. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go look at that stuff.
yeah, like I don't even know how they do it, right? Like cuz I mean, I guess they're a team of people, but it's still like
Yeah.
it's and then they do dig up like kind of random stuff that are hidden here and there. Even like Versus was in a couple booths. And they got pictures from my stuff that from friends, and Crank Brothers had some tires there and Eurocase and stuff, so it was kind of cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, at this point, how long have you been in business? How long have you been selling tires?
We launched. I mean, I started selling May 1st, 2020, the Pink Bike and Lomo
Dude,
and
that's like the
Vitals.
worst timing ever, right?
Yeah, the worst. Like, and this is something. I mean, I started on this in 2018,
Right.
and yeah, I sent my tech pack off like January 2018,
Yeah,
and
and
then
they're
got
like,
some
meanwhile.
samples. Yes, I've been working like for 2 years, and then like, oh yeah, or like, and then they got delayed again, of course, and it was like, oh, right into COVID.
Oh man.
But I
So
mean, it happened to everybody, right? So it's there's I don't know, you try to take positives out of it. It's kind of hard to find in there, but
yeah, I
there's
mean,
some
there's
stuff.
probably a good positive of like because there was such a boom and like a shortage with like because of that boom, like having somebody else in the space probably like if anything maybe gave you more attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely did, and it definitely with the different colors and stuff. There was so many like, I mean, there's millions of extra riders that were out there. So like, and my biggest thing has been kind of word of mouth and referral traffic. So if you have something that looks different and people are into it, then and they work well, then people are going to talk about it and they want to share that
Yeah.
info, right? Because it's like they're the early adopter kind of
Right.
mentality where it's like, oh, check out what I found, and then it's like, oh, um, so there's like good and bad.
Yeah.
It's I think it's a lot worse for some other companies right now, but it's it's been good. Like I'm still growing year over year, so that's a really good thing. And it's
Yeah, and you have a consumable product too. So I mean, it's like that's a plus. You know, it's not like, hey, there's all these new people that got into riding bikes and bought a new bike. They're not buying a new bike again for a couple years,
yeah.
you know.
Now I
But
mean
if
that
they
was part
bought
of my deal
tires, you
with even
know,
with doing tires was like if you're gonna ride bikes, you need tires, and it's
yeah,
and some people, like if you go to Whistler with a soft set of or even Summit or Mammoth with a soft set of tires, like you could go through a set of tires in a weekend like pretty easily.
yeah.
So
So at this point, you have still just one tread pattern.
yeah, I'll have the one. I'll hopefully have another one like by next summer. I plan to have at least one, if not two new tires.
Oh wow, all in the mountain bike space, or
I really want to do a dirt jump tire because there's a bike park that's opening that Bubba and Shreddy Reynolds are making for the city of San Marcos. That's like 10 minutes from my house.
yeah.
So I want to make a dirt jumper tire and then possibly a gravel tire and then mountain bike, but for sure another 1 to 2 mountain bike tires.
I feel like the colors on a dirt jump bike would be like would sell well. You know?
I think so. Like because
Yeah,
especially because that's a little bit like dirt jump is really between BMX and mountain bikes, and
yeah,
like
yeah,
and
100%.
that's kind of in BMX anyways. Even the idea for doing colors is like from being a kid and riding around and you have like different colored tires and all the different stuff, right? It's like so I don't know. A lot of it's just kind of reliving that kind of childhood. Like with anybody, at least I know that when they get on bikes, it's like, oh my gosh, it's like my kid again, and they're just all stoked to
Yeah.
ride. It's like, why not? Like we're riding bikes, dude. Like why do you have to be serious about it? Like
Huh. I wonder about like having a colored sidewall instead of a black sidewall and then still have the black tread.
you can do that with it gets weird because the folding aspect of it, they didn't really explain it to me too much, but it was they said they could work on it, but they weren't sure if it was really doable.
Got it. They're
So we'll
like
see.
These designers, I tell you, they just come up with crazy ideas that look cool.
Yeah, no, that's coming from design, like, it's the exact same thing I did in that world, like, asking screen printers to do things that you know they could do, but they didn't want to because they do the other thing all day long, and it's like, "Come on, I know you can do it," like, but then this it's a very similar mentality, but then they also they wanna do something different too, so it's like, for them, it's still fun to do something a little bit different, it's just
Yeah,
kinda coaxing them to make the production time to do it. But then you
yeah,
pay
yeah,
for it too, like, the splatter's very expensive, like, that's a few dollars a tire, which is a lot of money, so
right. So, do you think that like because I mean your prices are still comparable, if not lower than a lot of the other brands.
yeah, I mean, that was always the goal is, like, because I ride, right? And it's like you shouldn't pay 200 something dollars for a set of tires. Like, granted, my pink ones that are limited edition. Oh, sorry, I looked down at my pink tire right over here. But those are a super limited edition, and it's like money's going back to the charity. Like, even those I'm selling for I think it's 190 a set. Um,
Uh-huh.
but that's a special, unique, super unique, limited tire. So it's but in general, like, yeah, like my black folding set when I had them were like a 130 a set, and I have frequent buyer programs or referral programs and discount codes and sales, and there's all kinds of ways you can kind of knock some of that price off or get more for a similar price. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, speaking of, you also have a a code with the biker stuff too, right?
yeah,
Code B1KER, and you can save $10 on that as well.
yeah, that would be another week. And then also beyond that, I have the summer of shred, I'm calling it. So if you spend $130, so basically you buy a set of tires, you can get any piece of apparel or merch for $24 off or $19 off. So it's like you can get a t-shirt for $10 or a hat for $10 or $20 off a or a sweatshirt or whatever you might want.
I tell you what, man, I like your shirt a lot. The one that you sent me a long time ago. I wear that thing on the regular. I feel like a versus billboard, but I'm okay with
Yeah,
it.
like, oh, that's I mean, that's kind of my secret weapon is I mean, I've done t-shirts, a lot of t-shirts for Adidas and Puma and Burton and all Etnies and every half of the outdoors, action sports world you can think of. Like,
Yeah,
that was my job for a long time. So, like, I try to do cool looking merch and like it's rad at events. Like just this weekend I sold a bunch of the pedal and destroy hats and just because it's kind of cool and there's people don't always need tires but like they need a hat or you want to buy a t-shirt or you want something to commemorate the whatever event you went to, so it's and I try to
yeah,
have kind of cool fun stuff that's wearable and people
yeah.
see
And I
it like,
think your design background definitely like you make cool stuff, so it looks really good. So I mean,
thank you.
like, yeah, yeah. I mean, just for example, people that are listening, there's a hat behind you that has like it's like a yellow border around a patch with like it's a black hat with a yellow border on the patch with white writing, and so it just catches your eye.
Yeah.
It's very clean design, but it's like you're like, oh, that looks cool. You
Well, yeah,
know?
that's like that again. That's my design background. Is yellow and black is the biggest contrast, even on your biker, right? Like you can see your
Yeah,
frame and your thing is like that's the biggest color contrast there is. Is why honeybees and bees are black and yellow because it's like, hey, watch out, I'm not nice. So
yeah. I think I did that accidentally when I first made my logo, but
yeah,
it was just like I'm trying to find a color that I felt like popped right. And maybe I thought I was like inventing something myself. I was like, oh, that looks really good. And then later I'm like, I hear that yellow and black thing. I'm like, oh yeah. I do remember hearing that about McDonald's. Like that's why they chose yellow for the arches or something like that.
yeah. I mean, there's a reason all that stuff works, and it's like so. Even if it was a subconscious decision on your part, there's a reason why you chose that.
Right. It's just because I have such an eye for design, dude.
See,
Come
there
on,
you
let's
go.
be
Yeah,
honest.
we're on it.
So, anything that you would like you look back on and you're like, man, I wish I would have done that completely different.
I mean, there's a lot that was frustrating, and even looking back, like at the whole COVID thing, there's a lot of things I could have done differently as far as like working with other people and kind of getting more digital marketing stuff going. But like I did what I could do. I'm a person. I didn't have an unlimited ad budget to spend 20,
Yeah.
40, $50,000 a month or even a year on ads. I mean, I've spent $1,000 on years ads in 4 years, if that.
Yeah.
Um, to where that's my biggest thing with the the growth, and then I had some manufacturing problems and stuff like that that weren't good, but we worked through it and everything's good now, and people are stoked on the product. So it's just I mean, they really the whole like the biggest regret would be not coming in with like 5 or 10 times as much money as I did, so I could do it correctly. But that wasn't an option, and that's not
Yeah.
that would it'd be a different brand too. It would be a different story. So
Hmm. Do you think about like taking on investors or anything like that? Or you're happy with the way that your growth is going, or?
that's part of the plan, is to do like a kind of friends and family crowdfunding thing in the very near future, to where
Uh-huh.
um plus, like, I mean, for me, it'd be rad too, just obviously to help grow the company. But there's so many people that are such big supporters, like you and say Jess, and there's a bunch of people at all these events I see all the time. It's like I would like to be able basically let you guys share in the success, right? To where like if it starts to do really well, like it would be kind of cool. Like it's everybody's thing. Even the whole idea with the tire company is like it's for all of us, right? It's like to make fun tires and do things a little bit differently, and have a better price, and just go ride bikes and have fun, and then a portion of my sales and everything goes back towards donating to different causes as it is. So it'd be cool to kind of share, if I can get it to be successful, like sharing that success with the other people that are kind of long-term supporters and are into the story and the product and everything.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool, man. Like that you have that perspective. What do you think's holding you back? Money?
I mean, it's just not being. I mean, for my biggest problem is just I'm not a rich dude doing this as a side project. Like I'm a dad with a kid and a job, and it's like this is a like it's I don't have unlimited funds. I do the best I can, and my design, thankfully, my design and branding history, like people think the Versus is a lot bigger than it is, because I punch well above my weight in that aspect. But it's mostly just that, and then you feel bad too, because there's tons of shops that write all the time, I want to carry the tires, and it's like I don't have stock to help you right now, like I want to. So like that's part of the idea with the crowdfunding type thing, would be really to get it into the shops and help on that level, because it was never intended to be solely a DTC thing. It's just, especially with COVID and not being able to get tires, it was like that's the only way I could do it.
So you would be raising money to buy inventory, basically.
Yeah, buy inventory, and then also make new tires, right? Do the wider one that we talked about. Do pump track tire and all the different stuff, and then I'm able to do more. I'd basically be able to do a lot more if I had a little bit of help.
Yeah, yeah. So people understand you have to pay for a mold. Is that it? And like,
Yeah,
what
you
is
have
the
to pay
like
for the
mold?
mold, which is multiple thousands of dollars, and then for tires, you pretty much you pay 50% up front, and the 50% upon complete before it gets on a boat.
Mhm.
So it's I mean, and then
And then
sometimes like
there's like a
COVID,
minimum
it was
order
like
of like whatever they call it, like 1,000 tires or something like that.
yeah, and yeah, you have to order thousands of tires. So it's like I mean, it's like, say during COVID, if you're like I want to do a new 275 tire, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's
Right.
just for me, it's like an incomprehensible amount of money. Like even like my
Right.
personal life versus my work life is like, wow, like I can't, like that's a lot of money for me to spend. But then you think about Versus, and it's like, well, you kind of have to do it. I have to order these tires. I can't order 5. I can't order 10 or 20 or even 200. It's like, but then it's like, then when they get there, it's rad, because then it's like you can get them out. Like like when the teals, like I shipped hundreds of tires in a couple days, and then
Mhm.
people are super stoked on them. The same thing when I finally get these pinks, like I have a few sets, like I said, of the 27.5s, but when the 29s come in, it's hundreds of boxes that go out in a couple day time.
Yeah. Do you still have a day job that you're doing, or
Yeah,
is
I
this
still do
like
design. Like my job
yeah,
job is still, I do design for like I just did some stuff for San Diego Football Club, and Tom DeLong from Blink 182. I'm like one of his long-term designer guys.
right
And
on.
yeah, just whoever HRE wheels, like make crazy car wheels. They just had an open house last weekend, and so I do a lot of their t-shirts and their kind of print and branding stuff. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, so it's like kind of do both. So I have 2
Yeah,
jobs.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. How'd you get into that?
I was always the kid that drew all over my everything in school, and then and like I was pretty good at school, but I was more interested in that, and then I was able to work it out where I got to be like I was self-taught, like I got accepted to schools, but it wasn't in the cards for me because of kind of weird family situations. But
Yeah.
and then I just ran it myself. But then I got like I've worked for some of the best companies you can think of, right? Like I've done stuff for Burton and Adidas and Puma and
Yeah.
Vitality, Vital, Intense, like Etnies, all these crazy rad companies, and it's been cool. And like, and I drew from all that experience to make verses, and like a lot of those ideas, like a lot of the verses stuff is stuff that I was like either showed to a company and they weren't as into it as I thought they should have been, or stuff that I was like, you know what, I'm going to save that for myself. So,
Yeah.
um, and it's worked out, and then it's like and then it works out cool. Like my stink charmer design is like that's done really well, and it's a rad design. So I don't know, it's kind of fun. Like it's fun doing stuff, even little things like for yourself, and just like now I have an avenue or an outlet for my random projects that I have in my head, and I can do
Yeah.
it. So
Yeah. That's interesting, man. It's like I never realized that I was a creative person until probably like recently, but I've always done stuff, you know what I
yeah,
mean? But I just, I guess I finally realized like, oh, wow, that is actually who I am. And, it's fun to have that creative outlet, and it doesn't matter, like, even if something that you're doing for a job is like quote unquote creative, it's still not the same as like when you're just doing it for yourself,
yeah, for sure. And
Uh,
it's like, and plus, I mean, it's kind of weird. You think about right the trajectory of your life, and it's like I said, I do stuff with Tom DeLonge, and he's super creative. And it's like he goes a mile a minute. I have to translate his mile a minute into making something. Like, okay, this is what I think your description is what we want to do. But the thing about it too is like he was in a successful band from the time he was a teenager. So that portion of his brain has been able to grow and nurture and just keep going for like his whole life. So it's you kind of think about that, and it's like like what are you nurturing or what are you doing, and it's and what your interests are, and then it's like but the art and kind of design kind of aspect of it like is it helps the rest of your life. So it's like it lets you lead to a better life in some way. So even bikes,
yeah.
right? Like bikes are is an art form, skateboarding is an art form. Like you figure out what line you're going to do, if you're going to do a jump or what you want to carve up a wall, like whatever it might be. It's still it's an expression of like what your thoughts or feelings are, and you're expressing it in a way that is somewhat artistic. Like I mean, you look at Seminole writing, like that is an art form, like it's unreal. So
Hmm. How would you say, what kind of like terrain is your tires best suited for?
probably kind of all like Sedona-ish. Like they hold up really well in like that kind of terrain. Um, I mean, they roll super fast, so that's kind of nice. Like a lot of like they've done really well at bootleg because they're especially the DH tires, they're pretty stout, sturdy carcasses, and
Hmm.
there's a guy at one of the DH races there that did the enduro and blew out a tire on the first stage of the enduro. And I'm like, I don't have sealant. We can put a tire on with like, and you can see what you can do. And he finished. He finished the race with like drops of sealant that were left on his rim. Um, so I think it does good in chunkier terrain, especially the downhill tires, because that's a burly one. But they like in general they all roll fast. And like I'm
Hmm.
250 pounds and I've ridden the trails like across the country and with minimal, like I had one puncture at Mammoth because
Yeah.
I knew I needed more air and I was gonna do it on the way down. And I clipped a paver. But
Yeah. The
yeah,
last set
I'd say
that
kind
I
of
had, I ride in an area that has a lot of like shaly type of rocks that really like to slice the shit out of sidewalls, and
yeah.
I wore the tread off of those tires before I had any kind of puncture, so that's for sure.
Yeah, like it seems to work like especially the gravities and like that kind of stuff to where like most people have had really good luck on that. Like, and then I think you had the yellow splatters, right? Like those,
Yeah.
that's a pretty long. Like if you wore the tread off of those, like you rode a lot because there's
Yeah.
people like I have 800 miles on my tires, and I'm like that's a lot, and like
Yeah.
someone who just came to me at the show and he's like, I don't want to take them off because they still work. I know where they're gonna break loose, and I just still do it. And it's like, oh man,
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I definitely put things through the ringer pretty quickly, but I ride a lot, and like, I think that's, I mean, there's a couple of things. A, I'm a fat ass, right? So like I'm definitely freaking stressing shit a lot more than some guy that's like 160. And then, but I think at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I just do put a lot of miles on through the week, a lot. Like this time of year, I'm riding 5, 6, maybe sometimes 7 days a week,
that's awesome. Or you're full size. You're like just you're full size. That's how
Yeah,
that's
yeah, party size,
yeah.
right?
See?
So yeah, but I always have to remind myself of that too whenever I'm like, what the fuck, man? I just bought these shoes like 4 months ago,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, wait a minute, I rode like
Yeah,
the
you're like
equivalent of like
I
how
rode
many rides?
150
Like,
days in those 4 months. Like
yeah, yeah. It's like my shoes used to last 2 years. It's like, yeah, but you also ride like once a week, So
yeah.
yeah, so
Are you on
yeah,
clips or you flats?
flats mostly. I'll ride clips on my gravel bike, but I've been curious, honestly. I started out when I very, very first started mountain biking back in the 90s. I was on toe clips, right? Because that's what everybody did. And then later, I went to clipless because that's what people did, right? And it wasn't until sometime after I started the channel, so it would have probably been like, let's just guess like 2019 or so. Like all these people were always like, flat pedals are so much better than they used to be, and the shoes are so good. And I was like, I'll see what they're talking about, And whenever I went out and rode, I remember trying to like drop off of this little rock that was like, let's just say at most it was like an 8-inch tall rock. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
nothing at all that should be like any kind of concern. And I went off that rock and both my feet fell off my pedals, smashed my balls all over the fucking top tube, right?
Mhm.
And it made me realize that like because I came from BMX, like we would like jump over freaking streets and shit like that, like
Mhm.
basically huge tabletops, right? And I it just made me realize that holy shit, like I built a boatload of bad fucking habits with my clips. And like even down to like how I was bunny hopping. Like I would be like not actually bunny hopping like the way that I should. It'd be like, just compress the suspension, pull up
Yeah.
with your feet. It's fucking stuck on there, you're good, And like
Yeah, yeah.
so because of that, I was like, you know what, man? Fuck it. I'm taking the clips off of my bikes and I'm just gonna ride flats for a while and like see how I feel about that, like get that skill set back. And then after doing it for a while, it's like I didn't really see the gain in being clipped in anymore. And like, I mean, I see it on my road bike or my gravel bike, and I've put them on my hardtail a few times just because it's like mostly I'm just doing kind of XC kind of rides on that anyway. But for the most part, man, dude, I'm not trying to win some race or something like that. And like, I feel like I have more control with the flats, and I just like, there's like little shit with clips that used to bother me. Like when you're on some super steep, gnarly shit and you fuck up, and then you're like, oh man, now I have to get started again in the middle of this shoot and figure out how to get my foot back into this fucking pedal, which like works 95% of the time. But that 5% of the time it doesn't, you're
Yeah.
like, you're freaking stressed, right? You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
you're barely on the pedal, bouncing all over the place, thinking you're gonna die. Like, and I don't have those circumstances with the flats. So it's like, I don't know. So I guess the whole point of that whole story was I've been on flats now for a couple of years and I've been contemplating throwing on some clips on a trail again and just seeing how I feel about it. I tried it like I want to say it was about a year or so ago, and I went down like one of my like normal trails and I was terrified. Like being being clipped in, I don't know why it scared the shit out of me, man.
That's
So I
wild.
don't know. Yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see how I feel about it.
Yeah, I've never, I mean, like you said, I've ridden clips on road bikes, but also I came from BMX, so it's like that's just what I know. And then like you said, with like the newer shoes and like pedals and everything like that, they're pretty good. Like I think like you said, if you're trying to win races, it's a little bit different and you need that little bit of extra. And then it's like nice too, because those dudes aren't necessarily crashing and trying to get back on the bike. And
Yeah.
their foot's always where you want it to be, because there's always that weird part when your foot gets off and you're going down, say like the shoot at on high line, your foot's weird and you're like
Yeah.
freaked out you're gonna slip off. But yeah, and there's also, like you kind of said too, it's like you can tell the people that rode BMX and didn't ride BMX when they try to bunny hop. Like it's different, that you could tell like just the history with it. Like I've been doing a
Yeah.
lot of my kids, like he's all about all sorts of bikes right now. So like we go to the BMX track like once, at least twice a month. And that's really tiring, but it's
Yeah.
really fun. And it's a good, it's like all it all translates. It's all converts over to mountain bikes and everything. So
I just realized like even little shit, like I wasn't dropping my heels in corners and stuff like that. And like it's just like certain little things that I'm sure didn't happen overnight. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Like, but it's like after riding on clips for 10 years and not riding BMX anymore, it's like little things that like slowly become like what you do all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just personally I just don't see the benefit as much anymore. It just doesn't it's funny because I've talked so many people out of flat tire or flat pedals over the years, like back when I was always clips, or
Mhm.
clipless. And now it's like now I'm the other way around. And like the shit that I hear people tell me, like why they should stay on clips is like, yeah, that's the same thing I used to tell people too, but I'm telling you, it's not like I don't know. It's just people are always like, oh, you're gonna like lose a pedal and like smash your shin all up. And I'm like, dude, I did that just as many times on my clipless pedals as I have on my fucking flats. Like
Yeah.
I've fucked my shins up just the same on both sets of pedals. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a massive like I've 100% should have had stitches and when I was a kid and did not get them. So I have like a quarter to half inch wide, 4-inch long scar on my shin from just running it. And like now you're like, dude, that should have been infected. Like I
Right.
shouldn't have rode bikes that whole day, like just with a sock over my open wound. But
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of being young, right?
yeah,
Yeah, we did all that stupid stuff too, man. It's like, and when back then, like when I was younger, it's like, I think you're pretty close to the same age as me. And it's like, we just had shitty ass freaking, like, we rode vans, basically,
oh
vans
yeah,
like boat shoes because they were like the best grip. But I mean, they didn't have any kind of support or anything in it.
yeah. They're like noodle. There was like noodle soles with like
Yeah.
waffle with
Yeah. We never had
noodle
socks
insole with a
on.
waffle
We,
sole.
you know what I mean? We also didn't even have brakes on our bike because we like wanted to save weight. So we would still be just using our foot on the back tire to like stop the bike and
Yeah.
like um then it's like our pedals were shit. So I was like, yeah, you slip the pedal pretty frequently, and it's like, well, guess what, you're gonna fuck some stuff up. That's the way it goes. But that's like BMX, it's like it was part of it. It's kind of like that skateboard mentality is like, yeah, you'd try to do something and you'd bail and you'd get hurt and you just get up and you do it again. And
Yeah, which is like that teaches you resiliency, right? Like me starting a business, like if I didn't have that BMX and skateboarding background, like y- there's so you have to overcome failure so many times in those that you just learn to keep going. And that's with my design, right? Like I'm self-taught with design, and like I had to go and get clients and get work, and it's like it's that knowing having so much history of not succeeding and not doing it right. And then in design world, like you more or less hear that they hate your work and it sucks, and you just okay, all right. Even now with tires, right? Like I got so much hate when I launched with the splatter tires. Like go back to the pink bike comments, they're hilarious. And it's like, and then Crank Brothers releases a pedal or line with the splatter like 2 years later and everyone's into it. It was like, I'm not hating on Crank Brothers because they're rad and they're my friends, but you're like, wait, what happened? Like, how did that in 2 years? How are you mad at me? But now that's cool. So, but whatever. Like, I guess it's good if you're getting a comment or getting some sort of reaction, you're doing something right because it's you don't want to
yeah,
just be another exact same thing. I don't want to be Max's part two whatever it
Yeah.
is, part two. I want to do my own thing and forge my own path and kind of do something that's rad and meaningful. People are stoked on it, which is cool. Like, I don't know, there's been a lot of stories with like a lot of really high, like really good riders that are super stoked on Versus um and just kind of what I'm doing and are on the payroll for other brands. So it's kind of cool to hear that. Like it helps keep you going.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's super rad. And it's gotta be like very very fulfilling, because like you're basically like David and Goliath going on here, you know?
I mean,
You're
for the
just one
most part,
dude, you
yeah. I mean,
know?
it's there's a reason why it's Versus, right? Like because it's David versus Goliath, and there's a bunch of there. That wasn't a coincidence that that's the name choice, but beyond that, it's also just, versus the mountain and versus yourself and versus your friends. It's like in the whole challenge, everything. It doesn't necessarily mean winning a race. It could be you're challenging yourself to get up a section that you've never cleaned before, or ride down a section you've never done before, or do a new jump, or ride a
Mhm.
long wheelie, right? Like I suck at wheelies. Like I'd be so stoked to be half as good as like even a decent wheelie rider. But I was, because like you
Yeah,
said, I was a BMX guy, and my friends could do that. Like they could, how far you wanted to ride a wheelies, how far they would do it, and I was never like
yeah,
that. So I was always kind of, at all the sports I've done, I've been the not good one at it, and but I
yeah,
persisted and kept at it. So
yeah. Yeah, I remember this guy I used to ride with when I was in high school. That guy could ride a wheelie forever, and he could do oh, I'll ride up the railing of this bridge and wheelie all the way across the freaking
yeah,
bridge and back down the other side. I'm like, dude, I can't even walk along the side of the railing there. I'm like all afraid of heights and shit. I'm like,
yeah.
like,
No, yeah, that's like, look, my friend Sean Swados is this, like, he should have been a pro BMXer, and he was like, him and his kid Cole are like my riding buddies. They live in Tennessee now, but it's like that's who I'm trying to keep up with, right? And it's
yeah,
so eventually you get to be decent at what you do if you're trying to keep up with really good people. But that was always like I mean, they're super fun to ride with. I love those guys. Like,
yeah.
so it's I don't know, it's kind of fun.
So you've been riding since you were a kid?
Yeah, I mean, BMX, like ever since, as long as I can remember. Like I remember one of my first memories is when I think I was 5, and and whatever Gen X kind of kids, like our parents did their own thing and just brought your kids along. So they were at a Super Bowl party, and they brought my bike along, and I learned that if I put my foot in the front tire, I could do an endo.
Hmm.
And like I got that down, I was all excited. So then I went to show my mom, and I was trying to show off, and I was going too fast, and I just fully face planted, like just snapped my face on the ground. And yeah, and then another one, I got a good bike for Christmas, and and then I rode my friend's bike, he got a Torker, I got a Diamondback Silver Streak, and his brake was like way down, I couldn't hit the brake, and I ran into a ravine and like crashed. And of course, you don't have helmets back then, so it's like,
Yeah. I
but
was just
yeah, I
having a
mean,
conversation with somebody the other day where it's like interesting how much shit has changed, where like when we were kids, like if somebody was wearing a helmet, you were really like fucking cracking jokes and being like, this
yeah,
guy's like, look at this dipshit, all the politically incorrect things that you could call them back in the 80s and be allowed to do that. And then nowadays it's like the polar opposite. Like if I ride down the trail and I see somebody riding in the trail like with no helmet, you're like instantly like, wow,
yeah.
I can't believe that, you know?
Yeah, like, I mean, I've been riding with a full face from the BMX track. Like, I got one of those just because, like, you see kids crash and you're like, "Oh my gosh, you would have broke his jaw." And kind of same thing, like, I started wearing a helmet riding bikes, like, probably around the same time I started riding mountain bikes, which is, like, mid late 90s, and just because
Yeah.
you felt weird. And then same thing with snowboarding, like, I started wearing a helmet snowboarding, and that was, like you said, where nobody else did it. But then there's one time I was in the trees, and it's like I hit a tree right here, and I would have
Yeah.
got scalped if I didn't have a helmet on. And
Yeah, fortunately, when I started mountain biking, the guy that was like, my mom was dating this guy that got me into mountain biking, and at that time I just rode like BMX like all the time, and then like his like him and his group of friends were like, yeah, you can ride with us, but you have to have a helmet on. And
yeah,
I remember being like, this is dumb, and like, but then it just became like that's what you do if you're mountain biking, you always wear a helmet. But I didn't do it for like skiing for a long time, and it wasn't until I remember I was going down something super stupid fast, and I remember falling, and somehow I fell more backwards, where I just
Mhm.
kind of clocked my head like straight back. And it was like one of the first times in my life where I like really rang my bell. Like that was the first time I understood why people said it's ringing your bell, because you literally hear it like dong,
Mhm.
like you're like, what the fuck just happened? And I remember just kind of like laying there and just being like getting up and like, you know, you almost feel like you're stoned because you're like shit doesn't seem normal anymore. And I remember thinking, okay, so I ride my mountain bike, like, let's just say 20 miles an hour average on these downhill trails, you know, screaming past these trees. And then I get on my skis and I can go like 50 or 60 miles an hour and I'm not going to wear a helmet.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, I don't feel like I'm doing the math right here.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that's been good about mountain bikes is it seems like it's at least as long as I've kind of paid attention to it. Even like when I was a kid, my friend's dad was a mountain biker, and this is like early 80s, and it was like it seems like helmets were always kind of part of the uniform for mountain bikes. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't so in anything else that I could think other than football or something, but not,
Yeah.
no skateboarding, BMX, skiing,
Because
snowboarding,
even
any of
road
that.
biking in the 80s, I don't even think they had to wear helmets back then. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the pros, they weren't wearing them originally, right?
Yeah, I just know like my friend's dad did, I
Yeah.
think. Maybe though. I don't know. I was like 7. I don't even know. He
Yeah.
had a rock hopper. And
Right.
but then when I got my first mountain bike and like you said, like with a group of friends, um, like their friends were like all industry people, and it was like you've got a helmet. Like that's just what it was. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely it's interesting how times have changed. You know, even in the last few years, and I think I was like a late adopter on this, but like knee pads, for example, like you used to never see anybody with knee pads.
mhm.
And now it's like you pretty much never see anybody without them. You know, like I've been doing, because I ride so much, sometimes my knee pads will really start to chafe my skin from it being like just wet from sweating for, you know, 3 hours or whatever you're riding. And so like I this week I've been doing some XC rides and stuff like that just with no knee pads because it's like I need my skin to heal.
Yeah.
And I feel weird, you know? It's like, man, I like you gotta, it almost feels like you don't have your helmet on, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, like I remember that when I started riding. That's probably why I started riding BMX, the helmet and stuff, was because I was riding moto a lot, and then it's like after you, or even you just feel weird. You feel unprotected if you don't have a helmet on, and then
Yeah.
if you're used to that level of protection or some sort of something, it feels like you don't have a seatbelt on in the car.
Yeah. Yeah. I started wearing elbow pads too sometimes. Like if I know we're gonna get into some gnarly shit, I'll wear the elbow pads too, just because I've had some accidents, man, um where you go down hard on some like granite or something like that and just like smash the shit out of your elbow. And you're like, man, if I didn't
It
have,
really
I feel,
hurts. Like
yeah. And I
it's
feel
really not
like,
worth it.
yeah. So it's like, you know, I don't like always wear them, you know, but anything that I know that we're doing that's going to be dicey, I usually put them on. And sometimes it's like, oh, we're going to go do a big climb. I'll just throw them in my hip pack and then put them on when I get to the top. But
Yeah.
um, yeah, it just feels like, I think what it really came down to was a few years back, I had this accident on a trail that I rode all the time. And it was just like, I hit this jump and where I landed, it just so happened to be some mud there and that I wasn't normally there. And it just like washed my front tire. And I just like, I hit the ground like a sack of shit, man. Right. Just like yard sailed all over the place. And that night I was laying in bed and I had like both my elbows and both my knees like wrapped up in all these bandages. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, like, why am I doing this at like, I don't know, 40 years old? It's like, this is stupid. Like they have equipment that would stop. Like if I had pads on, none of this would be a problem.
Yeah,
You
like
know?
every
Like,
contact guy would be in pain, and then, like, those
yeah,
hurt so
yeah,
like, when I broke my foot, I got a huge, like, kinda raspberry rash against on my calf on the other foot, and that on my other calf, and that hurt more than my exploded heel, was, like, the crazy, whatever, large grapefruit size road rash on my calf, was, like that hurt
yeah.
really bad.
Yeah, and then I has some pluses too, because then it's like I get poison oak super easy, so it's like, oh sweet, this keeps me from getting poison oak as much. I'm in for that too.
Yeah, that's like I was always just a normal poison oak getter until I started digging a lot, and then sumac has the same oil that's in poison oak, and now I get gnarly poison oak from sumac if I even touch it on a trail at all, or if the oil gets on my shirt and I touch my shirt, I'll get poison oak.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
like,
basically, if I'm in the same area code, I get it.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah. No, that's how I am
so
now. I haven't even like even poison oak. I haven't really come across that much. Like because I'm always like you said, I was like I'll wear long sleeves, gloves. Like I kind of cover
yeah.
myself and then carefully try to take myself off and wash it before I ride it in again.
Yeah, I got all kinds of stuff, man. I try to wear as much as I can for one thing, and then I got the wipes. I use some of the pre wipes, and then the post wipes, and then I got the Technu in the shower, and like, yeah, it's
Hmm.
all the above. And somehow I manage to get it at least once or twice a year anyway. Like
Yeah,
even with all of that other, it's those days where you're like, no, I didn't hit anything today.
yeah.
So
There was one like it must have got on my kid's stroller because I would get it like right here on my hand on one thumb, and it's like I didn't do anything. I went to the zoo with my kid and I was pushing the stroller, and there must
right,
have been oil on part of the handle in one spot I never thought of. And
yeah. Yeah, then when I get it, and then I get paranoid. Then I'm freaking like washing everything, like wash the bike with dish soap, and then
yeah,
like out there rubbing my car down the steering wheel. You're like, what did I touch?
yeah. And it's like 2 days ago, so you have to think about what you touched 2 days ago.
Yeah, yeah, or like, yeah, I think it's like 3 to 7 actually. Like it could pop up.
Yeah, so it's like you're yeah, and when did it happen? Where was it? Like at least if you ride for that point, you know it's probably from riding, but there's the random ones where it's like just something different, annoying, getting old.
Yeah, 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 totally. Somebody in the comments says, I ate mushrooms once and went on a ride. Went to take a pee on the trail and got it all over my jewels.
Oh no. That's brutal.
I haven't got it on my junk, but I've got it like on my stomach where you would like reach to like pull your shorts down
Yeah.
like multiple times, like where it's been on my gloves, and it must just be like me, like, you kind of just sweep with your thumb to like pull your shorts down.
Yeah.
And I've got it right there on my stomach, like probably 4 or 5 times already in the last few years, man. It's just like, oh, that was close.
Yeah, I think I had it there as a kid, I'm sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we lived, like, out in the kinda hills, so, like, we just went and dug and climbed around, like, in random hills and hillsides behind us. There's poison oak everywhere, so it was, like,
Yeah.
just part of life back then. Now, like, my doctor gave me prescriptions for the steroid cream and for, like, all I have, like, just empty ones just ready to go. He's like, "You're gonna get this
Yeah.
again, so I'll just give you another one."
Yeah. I've had very little luck with all that. Even the steroid cream, I feel like it doesn't, I don't know. I feel like it's like a placebo, man.
It
It's
seems
not
like
like
it
you put it
speeds
on
it
there
up.
and you're like, oh, it feels great. You think?
Yeah, it seems like at least for me, instead of being like 2 weeks of suck, it's only a week of suck.
Okay. Maybe I'm
It
just
still
expecting
sucks.
it to go away like the next day. That's what I
Yeah, I
really
thought that too, and, like, I
Yeah.
think it's just a little bit shorter. It's like
Yeah.
there's, like, 3 or 4 days that are really not fun, and then it gets a little bit better, where I think without it, for me, it's like 10 days of, like, just, "This is terrible." Just so
Agony.
good.
Yeah. 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 Definitely no good. So there was another question in the comments that I thought was pretty good about e-bikes. So is there like a specific like tire that you would recommend out of your stuff for e-bikes?
I mean, I for e-bikes, I just push people towards the Gravity just because you get like you said, like you rode in super gnarly terrain and weren't able to slash up the sidewalls. Like the bike's helping you pedal, so it wouldn't make sense not to get the strongest tire you could.
Yeah.
And they're fully strong enough to handle any of that. Like, and even me at 250 pounds on an e-bike, it's like they do really well. And there's like there's 2.4 is a little bit narrow for some of that, but they're on tons of e-bikes. Like I have it on a Decoy, my wife's on a Levo SL. Like there's
Mhm.
lots of intenses. There's every kind of bike you can think of has had versus on them. So just
Yeah,
get
yeah.
any of the gravities would work really well. The black gravity is a little bit softer, so you're going to get more grip, but it's going to
Mhm.
wear a little bit faster, and the splatters are a little bit longer lasting.
Right on. Why do they do the um the wire bead on that tire instead of like the folding?
That's just my factory, and that's it's just that's how they do the gravity of the thicker sidewalls, and it also makes it for a stronger tire. Like you're not going to have to worry about is it can make it like on a carbon wheel, it can make it a little bit difficult to get on, but
Hmm.
it's just it kind of makes it a super strong tire. Kind of it's hard. It's you know you take a little, give a little, like where
Hmm.
it's a more weight, which kind of sucks, but at the same time it makes it a super strong tire. Like you don't have to worry about you know, I can't think of anybody. There's one guy I think I've heard that burped, one or two people that have burped like a 29, like a gravity tire, because they don't, it doesn't flex, right? It doesn't
Right.
have that problem as much.
Is that really what it's just there to like keep it from popping on the sidewall? Like the whole folding thing is realistically just to save some weight.
Yeah, I mean it's like 200 grams, like that. It's a sizable weight difference, like
Hmm.
um, but yeah, it just makes for a stronger, kind of stronger tire. So that's why I have the gravities. We're working like kind of testing some folding gravities.
Hmm.
Um, that would be a next summer type thing. But
Hmm.
for now, that's what I have, and but they work good, right? And especially for like if you're riding lift access or DH, or even for me, like for someone like your size, right? Like full size, fellow full size people,
You're
like
right.
I'll do a gravity rear and then a folding front, you know, just to kind of because at least for me, that's where most of my puncture happened in the rear. And then you do
Right.
a folding front to save, you know, a few 100 grams, and then you have that's a pretty burly combo. Like you're pretty
Hmm.
good with that. And then all the like you probably noticed too, but all the tires roll so fast that it kind of, especially in that case where you're running one gravity and one folding, like it negates the weight penalty to where it doesn't, you don't feel like you're lugging a heavy bike up the hill. It just scoots along.
Hmm. And the pattern that you have, it doesn't have a front or rear. Um,
Yeah, no, there's no. It's
yeah.
just it's kind of works as like they work for both of them, and that's how like most of the Vital Pink Bike and everybody tested them was like that. The reviews come from people that ran them front and rear. And
Hmm.
then, but like some people, like if you want, you'll run a wider, like say an Assegai or something up front, and then a versus in the rear, which is actually something Henry from Pink Bike was mentioned that he's like, for like the black gravities are 150 a set, I think, on the site. So
Hmm.
it's like you can get, he's like, buy those for your rear disposable bike park tires, and then you use your wide fat soft tire in the front, and you have a pretty good combo.
Hmm. I think a long time ago we were talking about having another. You were talking about having another pattern that would be like maybe closer to like an Assegai where it fills in that because yours is similar where it kind of has that channel
Yeah,
along
that's the
the
idea is to
between
do
the
it like a
middle and
wider.
the side.
Yeah, do a little bit wider kind of a front specific tire, but it would still work for a rear. Like
Hmm.
that'll be the next like 2.6 one would be something like that's aimed a little bit more towards the front, probably
Hmm.
2.6. That's yeah. I don't have interest to do like Maxes that has 40 tires. Like I don't want to do that. For me, it's like kind of what we have, and if you like it, go for it. And if you want to ride something else, and other companies that make rad tires, like you're gonna pay more money for it, but go for one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah. I think having like a couple, you know, maybe two, three, something like that, like
Yeah, I think
makes
two. I
sense to
could
me.
see three, but yeah, I don't see it going. I mean, well, unless I do a cross country tire like that,
That's
but
kind of
that's
what I
what
was
it's
thinking is
towards.
like, you know, like you had like maybe a something where you could run like if you had two different, let's just call them like mountain tires, right? Like then it's like, oh well, I could run that same tire front and back on both of those,
Hmm.
or I could run like them like swap them, you know, like one
Yeah.
front, one rear. So that kind of gives you a couple different combinations. And then I think that there's definitely like there's a good need for the that like smaller tread pattern XE type of tire. Like I
Yeah.
really like the Minions and this bike, this hardtail that I just bought has something by Kenda that's similar. It's like a real small tread pattern.
Hmm.
But when you run it on a bigger tire like a 2.6 or a 2.8, then like it's super fast, but it's because it's a bigger tire, it has like it still has that hookup that you're looking for, you
Yeah.
know. Those are really good.
Yeah.
I
Like
don't know. What do you think?
my neighbors now, like they're super XC. Like she won Masters at Sea Otter like at least one, if not 2 or 3 years, and she's like, "These are" she's like, "This is one of the best tires I've ever ridden," and they're like, they're trying to put it on their hardtails because they're like, they roll almost as good as a full XC tire, but you get 10 times more traction with all the lugs, you know? So, um, but yeah, that would be the goal. Even you think about like a dual slalom or something like that, like a really dirty dirt jumps. A lot of those guys run basically an XC tire for
Hmm.
that type of stuff. So that would be that would be the third one. Would be something of that genre, that idea.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Huh. But that stuff's like you said at the beginning, man, it's like super expensive for a guy like you to kind of get into. So it's like you got to make enough profit for a while to like justify that, right?
Yeah, I mean that's where like my idea with this was always to kind of get it to a certain point and prove the model and prove that we can do it and show that there's people interested in it and then take on investors and actually grow it to being a more, you know, sizable, more competition for the other companies and just
Hmm.
more supply more people with what they want. So I'm to that point now to where like we've kind of sorted a lot of the things out that we have to sort out. And then now it's kind of growth, like figuring out how to grow bigger and do more, not just bigger, just do more supply. I
Hmm.
mean, even just supplying people. Like I want to be able to get these. I want the shops that write me every day asking if they can carry the tires. I want to have them carry the tires because
Yeah.
obviously they're doing it. They like the idea and they like having the difference. Like I want to help them too. And then my idea with even the shops would be like, go to the shop to buy it. You know, like you don't have to order it from me. Like go to here's our shops. Go support them. Get them stoked. And because with that too, I want to be in the shops that like that support their community and part of mountain biking, have dig days and help, you know, help with bike parks or whatever it might be. Like I I mean I want to help grow our sport and make our sport like people it's we're riding bikes. It's so rad. I want to help get more people involved in it and get more people stoked on it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think it's cool to like, you know, the that kind of community side that you're building along with your brand, you know. It definitely feels more connected, you
Well, that's a
know.
goal. Like, I mean, yeah, I've had offers with like large companies, retailers that want to carry it. And it's like, that doesn't fit with what I want to do and the vision I have for Versus. Like, I would
Hmm.
rather take it slow and grow at my own pace and do what I want to do rather than kind of just be another thing that they offer or like, and have them, you know, it's kind of one of those things where like, the companies that get into REI, right? Not to
Right.
bash on REI, but and then it's like REI is their biggest customer, and like, what if you lose REI, and then you're
Yeah.
more or less not even in business? I don't want to do that. I want to have a solid enough base, and all the people are stoked on it to be able to grow and just and then also help out the shops, like help get people in there. Like I have a bunch of plans for shops once that next step happens to do more.
Yeah, yeah. So right now it's all direct to consumer.
More or less, there's like we're in like 3 or 4 shops, but not too many. We're in, Core
They're
North
more like
and
local to you.
Idaho, and then, like,
Oh, I'm sorry. What was that?
Core North and Idaho, Dream Runs in Orange County, and, Howler in Missouri.
Oh, wow. So that's kind of spread out.
Was there around like, they were next to me at Bentonville Bike Fest, right? And they're Reagan and Max are super awesome. It's like, "You guys are, like, my favorite people in the world." And they're like, "Let's carry your tires." I'm like, "Let's do it." So, now my brother lives near there and goes and hangs out and rides at their bike park and all
Yeah.
kinds of stuff. So it's kind of cool. Like they're just rad people. Same thing, like all
Did
of
you go
them,
to
right? Like
Bentonville this year?
I did not go. I was not in the tornado. Like
Yeah.
like I wanted to, and I had full FOMO for not going, and then and I didn't. But I will should be there next year is the plan.
This is my first time that I went, and it's funny because the day that I was planning on like kind of spending time at the fest and like talking to people and filming was the day that got canceled because of the tornado.
Hmm.
So like realistically, I didn't get to really do anything at the fest at all. Like I was there with the Tasco guys, and so like I was there one day for a couple hours helping out in the Tasco tent, and other than that, like I really didn't walk around the fest much at all. So
It's
I
a
guess I'll
rad
have to go
event.
back
Like
if I
they're
want to check
doing,
out the event.
yeah, it's doing. I mean, I was there 2 years ago and it was 900 degrees, and like we bought. My wife went to Walmart and bought all the dollar squirt guns she could find, and then we got buckets of ice water and just had ice water squirt gun fights because it was like
Yeah.
95 with 95% humidity.
Oh,
But it was
dude, the
still a rad
humidity
event.
was
It was super
unreal.
cool.
Dude. Yeah.
People are so cool, and it's like such a cool place, and like it was fun. That's how I met Jess. Was like the day after I was riding Kohler and just randomly bumped into her, and like I didn't know who she was. I was really weirded, like not weirded out. I was like, she was very concerned with the hammer dance because she was learning drop the hammer. But now
Uh
knowing her, like, no, that makes perfect sense. Like, you know, she'd have to know the hammer dance so she could do it after she did drop the hammer. So
huh.
like, yeah, I followed like one of her friends off of it. It's like we learned that drop the same time on the same day. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and she's more or less been on my tires since. So that's kind of cool. Like
Yeah, I rode over there and watched one of my friends do that, and that is definitely not in the cards for me anytime soon.
that
I'm not.
is the smoothest jump on of any jump, moto, BMX, mountain bikes, snowboarding, anything, the smoothest jump I've ever done.
Really.
It's super intimidating. It's perfect. Like the
Yeah.
landing goes forever, and it's like you're dropping into off of a cloud onto another cloud. As long as you
Yeah.
keep it straight, you're fine.
Yeah. You just have to commit, right?
Yeah, it's 100% commit. Like I was super freaked out too. I was like, I don't know. Like I have a 20-hour drive home. I don't know if I want to do that if I get hurt. And
Right.
then yeah, it's like 2 pedals, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. I did it like 25 times, and I'm like, I have to drive home. I'm gonna have to stop because I'm getting tired.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. Yeah, I definitely leveled up a bit on my jumping while I was there because I think you have to because it seems like that's pretty much like what they have to offer is like jumping everywhere.
Hmm.
So I definitely came home and noticed like, oh wow, I'm doing some things that I wouldn't have done before, you know. So it was cool in that aspect. It's definitely very different. And that's the thing that's like interesting about traveling around and riding. It's like you have what you like maybe the best, or you have whatever you have in your backyard and you're very used to that. But it's like every time you go somewhere else, it's like, wow, it's so different here, like what
Yeah.
they're
Oh
offering,
yeah.
you know?
Like it's really good there. It's super fun, and like there's trails everywhere, and everybody there is super into bikes. Like it's for me
Yeah.
coming from and you from California. Can you like those are public trails? Like they
Yeah.
build, and like they're not illegally built that you have to like know some secret code or know the right bush
Yeah.
to turn behind to get up to it. And it's like from a Californian my point of view and like mindset, like that or like Galbraith is like, oh my gosh, like those are unreal. Like it's hard to comprehend. Those are public systems, and they're like, but they're super rad. And like,
One of the things that blew my mind the most was like how much the entire community has like embraced biking. Like
oh yeah,
from like people that aren't even riding bikes. Like let's just
hmm
say like, you know, they're out there with their family going to get coffee to ride to the shop that's like a pretty good clip away from where you can park. So I mean, it's not like
hmm
they're like getting on a bike trail and pedaling for a quarter mile to get to the coffee shop. I mean, it's a decent little like pedal to get in there, right? It's like you see these
yeah,
people with their toddlers and all this and that. And the thing that got me the most though was there was a day where I was doing like coming back with this from this group ride. There was probably like 8 or 10 of us that were kind of like it was like, you know, at the point where the group ride's kind of broken up. So it's just like a
mhm,
couple of like different groups of people, right? And there was about 8 or 10 of us that came up to this intersection where we had a stop sign. The traffic that was crossing did not have a stop sign. And like that person in the car just stopped and waved us through. And it was like, it just blew my mind. And maybe it's just as a Californian, it was like, wow, like some random, like, you know, soccer mom looking lady in a minivan. It's just like,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead. You know, and it's like,
yep,
what just happened? Like they didn't have to stop. You
yeah,
know what I mean? They just did. And that
yeah.
was
That's
like really interesting to me.
yeah, we kind of like I completely feel you on that. It's weird. Is like we live on an off street on a pretty busy road that a lot of people use as a shortcut. So a lot of people that live on our street will more or less block traffic if someone's trying to turn out and like let them. Oh hey, go ahead, pull out while I'm blocking up all the cars behind me. You know, like
Right. Right.
it's an unspoken thing that there's like I've noticed more and more, and especially because I drive a Sprinter, which is like I'm not trying to be like look at me, but it's like it's you're not getting around me if I don't want you to. So like
Right.
yeah, so like that we do that, but yeah, it's weird when people kind of like you said take time out of the it's just Midwest. People take time out of their day to be super nice. Where like us here, everyone's in their own little world, in their own little bubble, doing their own little thing. So
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely noticed there was a different level of hospitality, like even in like using a store or
mhm.
whatever. So it was
That's what's cool
refreshing.
though. You go different places and you see that. Like it's just it's rad to see. And like we were where was I was just somewhere with my wife, and the guy's like, "Well, I could tell you weren't from here, so like I thought I'd say
Yeah.
hi." Like I was just in
Yeah.
Big Bear. We were just at Sky Park this weekend. Is at the Arrowhead grocery store. Like, oh
Yeah.
no, like we are tourists. Like I mean, we
Yeah.
come here all the time, but we don't live here. So
Right. Right. Yeah. I think I can't stress to people enough about traveling to ride bikes though, because it's really even if you travel a couple hours from where you live,
yeah,
it's always so different than what you're used to riding. And
hmm
it just blows my mind because you're like, you think in your head, you're like, what's the difference? It's a trail in the dirt with some rocks in it.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, really, what's the difference? Like, but then you
yeah.
go and
Like
you ride somewhere else and you're like, holy shit, that was so different.
yeah,
Like,
like you go like my friend Mark Trail Tap on Instagram. He went to BC and he's like it's ruined. He's like we can't do stuff like that down here. Like and now he's doing kind of more crazy builds and stuff like that. But it's unreal. Like you can go to all these other places and there's tons of stuff everywhere. It's not just
yeah,
there's rad trails by you. There's rad. I've heard Santa Clarita has good stuff. There's like Sedona's unreal and you know there's
yeah,
all kinds of places everywhere and you just go and check it out and like and find where to go and you get to and what's rad too is it's bikes. So for the most part people are stoked that you're out there riding their bike and they're gonna like they want to show you a good time and have you they want you to have fun on their home turf, right? Like especially as
yeah,
long as you follow the rules. Like everyone's like don't Instagram this or don't Strava it. You don't Strava it, you just go and enjoy it for yourself and have fun. And it's
right.
super good.
Yeah, yeah. So what's the long term for Versus? Where do you want to see it?
I mean, just continue doing it. Just continue making rad tires and doing different just do my own different thing. And like, I want to be big. I want to help get more people into bikes and get people stoked on bikes. There's a lot of stuff like I'm sending tires out to a charity in Bentonville like today.
Hmm.
Just getting people amped on riding and grow. Like our sports run is so good for you. It's so healthy and such a good outlet for like especially I have a 7-year-old, right? And like it's so rad to see him super stoked on bikes. And you know, I
Hmm.
want to go like the Suedos is like I said, my super good friends, like they're they're like a full bike family. And you see Cole and Tanner are both really rad kids because they grew up hanging out with their dad the whole time. They weren't on screens nonstop. So just kind of push that and push people being stoked on it and like do as much as I can. Go to like a lot of these events like Bentonville and you know, I want to do some of the East Coast stuff like the US Open and go to Mountain Creek and kind of travel more and do more with it and
Hmm.
grow it to be right now I'm mostly West Coast with some Midwest and East where I want it to be global. There's like I've shipped a lot there. These pink tires, like people around the world are buying these. Like a guy just bought 6 sets in Germany last night.
Yeah,
And it's there's a demand out there for it. I just have to get it out, be able to get out there. So
I got that
like I
new
said, now that I can
that
get
new
stuff again, it'll make it easier to do that.
yeah, I got that new Delano. It's pink, and I'm like contemplating your pink tires because I'm like it'll be pink overkill, but it would be fun just
Yeah, I
for a
was thinking
while.
too the teal ones could look rad on there just for some contrast.
Oh yeah, I used like a purple and a blue kind of for accent colors on that build. It looks pretty sick, but maybe I got to think about the other bikes that I have coming too. The e-bike that I have is teal. So, man, I tell you what, man, it's like it's really cool having a bike sponsor this year, but uh I feel like I'm just filming new bikes, you know, and
Mhm.
it's like not my it's it's fun to do when you do it every once in a while, but not fun when you have to do it back to back to back to back, you
Yeah, you
know?
just wanna ride and have fun.
Yeah. So I want to, well, and there's like other videos I want to do that are more like riding type of videos. So it's like the work part, where you're like, oh, okay, I guess I got to do this. But I'll be stoked I mean, I've been super stoked riding their stuff. So it's been fun in that aspect. And it's also really cool to like be trying new things,
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like once you do, you're like, whoa, this is rad. Like plus now, like every kind of current bike is all generally really good.
Yeah.
So you're going, it's not like you're going from one brand to one brand that's not like as good. You're like, it's going from one rad product to a different rad product. It might be a
Yeah.
little bit different than what you're used to. And then it's like, oh, whole new world, So,
Yeah.
um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, it's been really fun. So plus it's always fun building new bikes. So, it's like the design aspect of it,
Yeah.
and then just the like, that's fun. Like when you see your build come together,
Yeah.
like their decals on that are very close to the main color of the bike. So like if you look at it in person, like it's really hard to see the writing,
Mhm.
and for me, it's like, well, I'm going to be Instagramming this and stuff like that. Like I want people to know like what brand it is. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So like I use this like light blue on top of the pink that just like really, really pops. And dude, I've gotten so many compliments on that bike by like guys and girls, where they're just like pretty much every ride I've been on, somebody's like, dude, I love the color of that bike.
Yeah.
And
Like
that feels
I
good.
have my teals on a white decoy right now, and it's like it's
Oh, I bet
very
that looks
like
rad.
I get a lot of compliments and a lot of where I'm not necessarily that I'm not almost necessarily my own customer because I would normally go with black,
Yeah.
but it looks really good and it's really
Yeah.
it's fun. Plus, like, it's fun. Like have fun with it.
Yeah. So how often are you changing out colors?
The idea now would be to do 'em, like, every 6 months or so, like, I have another full color coming, a new splatter coming, and then some kind of one-off special low quantities stuff
Mhm.
coming in the next few months,
Yeah.
and then I'll have another one probably in spring-ish, and then probably mid, late summer next year.
How do you pick your colors?
I don't know, just what I think works good. Like, and then some of it, like there's one color that I really want to do a collab. So I'm gonna wait for that one until I can get that collab sorted out and then
Yeah.
do different stuff. And like when I did the pink or the teals, like sorry, not pink. When I did the teals, I thought like, oh yeah, there's Yetis have teals, but every bike brand has a teal as an accent color. And
Yeah.
that did really, really well. But now I think it's somewhat run its course. So now,
Yeah.
well, now when they sell out, people are going to ask for them again. But then we'll
Yeah.
do something different, and then especially like
Teal's a
once,
good
like
color though. It pops on pretty much any color. Like every
yeah,
time, like so many bikes that I've done where I'm like, oh, I want to change the lettering. Like teal is a color that I always kind of gravitate towards just because it almost pops on almost any other color,
yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it looks good on white, black, like whatever it is. Like it just is a good contrasting color. So it's
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know, just do more fun. More fun stuff is really the goal. Like good tires, have people stoked on them. Help out, like help, especially like like McNulty and even Aggie and all these people that have been in my tires. I want to help them do what they want to do. Like help them film projects and do the stuff, like so they
Hmm.
can grow their like. I want them to succeed. If I succeed, I want them to succeed. Like all grow together.
Yeah. What makes you feel that way?
That's just the way I am. That's just how I am as a person. It's like we can all win, right? There's enough pie for everyone. So like that's part of why I chose tires as what I did is because I can use my friends and they call them I forgot like basically strategic partners. I did a
Hmm.
business accelerator and they talked about that a lot, but you can use, like use them to help promote. Like I can promote Nate from Tasco, and Nate can help promote me, and like the
Yeah.
SpokeX guys and all these people. Like we all know, right? Like and it's a symbiotic relationship where like we both can do it. So um, that's just the way I am as a person in general. Like I just want to stoke, give people happy and just like it's better. It's more fun to have a good time in life than it is to be miserable and not do it.
Yeah.
And I think bikes help people be happy.
Yeah. You have a lot of industry down there in your area too, though. That's
Yeah, there is.
do you think that helped you at all, or?
Some, I think it's. I mean, some, yeah. Like, because there's some, like, I was friends with them, and but then a lot of, like, this stuff I did was, it was still a lot me on my own. Like, a lot of them are interested in helping as much as they can, but at the same time they can't help that much.
Right.
Um, but then, like, like Gas from Crank Brothers is super stoked on my whole idea, and it's like, I want to try to figure out how to help you. And so,
Hmm.
um yeah, it's just, I think a lot in general, a lot of people like my story and like what I'm doing, and they're people generally like the underdog and they like the little guy, so they try to help out when and where they can.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't hurt that the tires are good too. You know,
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like they just look cool, like they perform well as well. And I think that's I mean, obviously that's the secret in the sauce there, is that part as well.
yeah, I think that definitely helps. Like, if I came out with a, I mean, if I came out with a mediocre product, Versus wouldn't be around anymore. There's no way. But
Yeah.
it's the people that are into them are super into them. Like that, I've had people that bought 10 sets of tires in whatever 4 years, if not more.
Yeah.
And that's because they work good and they last a long time. Like, if they didn't do that, they would be onto something else. Like, doesn't matter how it looks, if it doesn't work good, the people aren't into it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the thing at the end of the day, right? You know, you have to enjoy it. I like trying new stuff too, though, so it's like, but on the other hand, it's like, man, do you want to spend $200 to find out you don't like it? you know
Yeah, I mean, with that though, we have the 30-day guarantee where, like, if people can more or less test it out, if they don't like it for 30 days, they can return it, which is like 4 or 5 people have done in 4 years.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like, do you really want to take your tires off and send them back? Like, it doesn't make sense. Like, but if you're that bummed on it, like, we'll totally refund your money. It's not, or like,
Yeah.
also that too is, if you go out, I mean, everybody's had this happen. You go out in your first ride and you blow out your tire, like, that sucks. So I just send them a new one. Like, it's just because it's not, doesn't make good financial sense for my business, but it's like, I've been in those shoes and you're bummed, and I don't want people to be bummed riding bikes.
Yeah. I've been on a trip. We were riding Downeyville once, and in 3 runs, my buddy had 3 different tires.
Yeah.
It was like, it was unbelievable. You're just like,
Yeah.
this is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, Mammoth, I had 4 flats in a day, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, but I don't know, it just happens.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's
weird to
crazy.
me though when people are like, I've ridden this trail 1,000 times, and this is, like, people get really mad. It's like, it's just the luck. Like, if you were on a Maxxis and
Yeah.
you rode it, whatever, like, and they send me pictures, like, whatever you hit was really pissed off at you. And
Right.
they're like, doesn't matter what tire was on your bike, you were gonna get a flat.
That's
So
kind of the way I look at that kind of stuff, where it's like, this was the day that was meant to happen. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like, there's plenty of things that I can say that I've done a million times that didn't result into something bad. But when it happens, it's just like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
just,
well, that sucks. Today I blew up a fucking Axis derailleur, and that's going to cost me a lot of money, but it is what it is. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
it
just I
happens.
think for me, what's hard is, since I'm the little guy and I'm the new company, they go towards that, right? Like, oh, it
Yeah.
had to be your fault because I've done this 1,000 times with the whatever brand tires. So, like, it has to be your tires that were the problem. It's like, it just happens. Like, that just happens with
Yeah.
riding. Like, you hurt your bike, at least you didn't hurt yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
I exploded my heel riding a section that my wife could have ridden down. Like, it was nothing difficult. My kid, like, 100% legit 7-year-old kid, could easily ride down the section I got hurt. No problem.
Yeah.
And like, I've had 4 surgeries, It's like,
It's crazy. Isn't that crazy
yeah.
how that happens? Yeah. It's just, it's insane. That's just the way luck goes, man. It's like, what do you call it? Murphy's Law or karma or who knows, just like
Yeah.
the way shit that freaking is going to work out. It's like, it's going to work out the way it's going to work out.
Yeah, it's like hopefully your bad outcome isn't as bad as it could be, is really like, I
Oh my
trip
God.
on a
Can
lot
you
on
hear me right
people.
now? I'm wondering.
What's that?
My TV's on the fritz. Could you
Check
hear
it
me
out.
while I was talking?
Yeah.
Oh, you could. So
Yeah,
it's
you're good.
just my video that's cutting out then. Then I'll
Yeah, I
just
think
keep
you're
fucking talking.
yeah, I've watched you the whole time.
That's awesome. Well, that's
I
good to
think
know.
everybody but you can
Because
see us.
honestly, right now it's off, and I'm like,
Like, it's
I'm
flashing.
uh
It's fully flashing on your screen.
So is it like you don't see the video at all, or it just gets dark?
No, it just you can see the light on your face changes. Like right there, you can see it did
That would
something.
be great if I could hear what he was saying. This could be it. There we go. Oh, it is fully irritated at this point. There is no more staying alive. So this is what I'm going to do, man, because I don't know if it's just too hot in here or what's going on, but this thing's just turning on and off and on and off and on and off. So what I'm going to do is tell you, Scott, thank you so much for spending the time hanging out with me and telling everybody about your product. It's been really fun chatting. Honestly, I need to get another set of your tires, dude, and have some fun on them again. So I'm looking forward to that. If any of you have not been to the Versus site, check it out. It's Versus Tires, is that right?
Yeah, versustires.com. Yep. And on
Yeah,
Instagram, Versus Tires. Yeah.
yeah, tagged it in all the spots. It's in the show more notes of YouTube, in the podcast notes. You can check there as well. Go check them out. And like I said earlier, you can use code BIKER, BYKER, save a little bit of money there. And that's rad. So thanks again, Scott. Dude, it's been a great time. All
Thank
of you
you.
out there, just remember one thing. If that's all you get out of this, it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one.